The first thing you need to understand about dying is that your body fights it with a violence that surprises you. Master Sergeant Roy Benavides knows this already. He's been dead before, or close enough that the difference doesn't matter. 2 years ago, he stepped on a mine. The doctors said he'd never walk again. He proved them wrong through rage and stubbornness and something darker that doesn't have a name. Now, at 0730 hours on May 2nd, 1968, he's drinking coffee at Forward Operating Base 2, Loc Ninh, watching helicopters ferry reconnaissance teams into the jungle like mechanical dragonflies, delivering men to their deaths. The coffee tastes like diesel and regret. The radio squawks. A voice, strained, desperate, cuts through the morning heat. We're surrounded, taking casualties. Need immediate extract? Then, nothing. Not static. Something worse. The silence of a transmission that ended mid-word because the person speaking stopped being able to speak. Benavides doesn't know these men. 12-man recon team, call sign Tango Mike Mike, inserted 3 hours ago near the Cambodian border. Intelligence work. The kind that gets you killed quietly in places that don't appear on maps. He doesn't know them, but he knows what's happening to them. He's heard that silence before. Someone has to go get them. The problem is simple. The landing zone is hot. Too hot. 2 helicopters have already tried. Both took heavy fire. One barely made it back with the crew chief bleeding out on the floor, trying to hold his intestines in with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. No one's going back in. Command says it's suicide. Command is probably right. Benavides stands. His knee, the one they rebuilt with pins and prayer, protests. He ignores it. He's been ignoring his body's objections for 2 years. 1 more day won't matter. I'm going, he says. The operations officer looks at him like he's insane. Roy, you're not even assigned to this mission. You're admin. You don't have to. I'm going. With what team? With whoever will take me. The helicopter pilot, a warrant officer named Louis Waggy, is checking his aircraft when Benavides approaches. Waggy's face is young, but his eyes are old. 6 months in country, long enough to understand what hot LZ really means. I need a ride, Benavides says. Waggy looks at him, at the sergeant's stripes, at the slight limp, at something else. The expression of a man who's already decided, who's moved past fear into a place where logic doesn't reach. You know what it's like out there? Yeah, we're probably not coming back. Probably. Waggy nods slowly. Get in. Benavides climbs aboard. He's carrying a medical bag, his Car-15 rifle, and enough ammunition to fight a small war. What he's not carrying is hope. Hope gets people killed. What he has instead is simpler. Certainty. Those men are dying. He's going to get them. The math is clean. The helicopter lifts off. Below, the base shrinks. The jungle spreads in every direction like a living thing, green and malevolent and patient. Somewhere in that ocean of vegetation, 12 Americans are learning what it means to be abandoned. Not today, Benavides thinks. Not on my watch. He doesn't know yet that he's about to die 7 different ways and survive them all. The flight takes 11 minutes. Benavides spends them checking magazines, adjusting gear, breathing. The helicopter smells like hydraulic fluid and fear. The door gunners are silent, watching the tree line approach, knowing what's coming. Waggy's voice crackles over the intercom. 1 minute. Benavides can see smoke now. Green smoke. The signal for friendly position, and tracers. Lots of tracers, crisscrossing the clearing like deadly geometry. The trees around the landing zone are alive with muzzle flashes. 30 seconds. The door gunners open up. Their M60 machine guns roar, spitting brass casings that bounce and roll across the floor. Tracers lance into the jungle. The jungle answers back. Something punches through the helicopter's skin. Once, twice. Metal screaming. A gauge shatters. "We can't land," Waggy shouts. "It's too hot." Benavidez unbuckles, moves to the door. The helicopter is still 15 feet up, rotors howling, and he can see them now. Bodies in the grass. Some moving, some not. "Get lower." "We can't." Benavidez jumps. He doesn't remember the decision. His body makes it for him. 1 second he's in the helicopter, the next he's falling through air that smells like cordite and burning grass, and the ground comes up hard and fast and wrong. He hits. Something in his leg snaps. Pain shoots through his rebuilt knee like electricity. He rolls, comes up running anyway because stopping means dying. The clearing is 70 meters across. The team is at the far edge, pinned down in elephant grass, surrounded on 3 sides by North Vietnamese army regulars who've been waiting for exactly this opportunity. Benavidez runs toward them. Bullets crack past his head. He doesn't duck. Ducking slows you down. He's counting firing positions, 5, 6, 7, calculating angles, understanding with perfect clarity that he's running through a kill zone designed by professionals. A bullet catches his right leg, through the calf. He stumbles, keeps running. Blood fills his boot. Another bullet, this one in his thigh. The muscle seizes. He goes down on one knee, pops back up, keeps moving. The team leader is a sergeant named Leroy Wright. When he sees Benavidez coming through the gunfire like something supernatural, his face does something between relief and horror. "Who the fuck are—" "Shut up," Benavidez says. "How many wounded?" "All of us." "How many can't walk?" Wright points. 4 men on the ground. One is screaming. One is quiet in the way that means he's minutes from death. 2 are somewhere between. Radio. Destroyed. "Great." Benavidez drops beside the nearest casualty. Specialist Brian O'Connor, 20 years old, sucking chest wound. His lung has collapsed. Every breath makes a wet sound like drowning. Benavidez tears open his medical bag. His hands are steady. This surprises him. Everything is very clear now, very simple. O'Connor is dying. Benavidez has maybe 90 seconds to stop it. He packs the wound, seals it, starts an IV. O'Connor's eyes meet his. Young, terrified, desperate. "Stay with me," Benavidez says. Not a request, a command. He moves to the next man, then the next. Bullets are still coming. He hears them but doesn't process them. His world has narrowed to wounds and blood volume and breathing rates. Somewhere in the distance, the helicopter is circling. Waggy's voice crackles over the radio that no longer works. The NVA are advancing. They know they have the Americans trapped. They're taking their time, tightening the noose. Wright is beside him. "We need to move." "Can't. Not yet. If we don't move now," I said not yet. Benavidez finishes with the 4th casualty. Looks around. Counts. 8 men still alive. 4 can walk. 4 can't. The math is bad. He keys his radio. Miraculously, it still works. "Bird, this is ground. I need you back in here." Waggy's voice. "Negative. Too hot." "I didn't ask if it was hot. I said I need you back in here." Silence. Then, "Roger, coming in." Benavidez organizes the evacuation with the calm of a man planning a dinner party. Walking wounded first. Carry the others. Use the dead as shields if you have to. They're beyond caring. The helicopter descends through fire. Its rotors kick up grass and dust and spent brass. The door gunners are firing continuously now, barrels glowing. Benavidez drags O'Connor toward the bird. The kid weighs 170 pounds. Feels like 300. Every step reopens the wounds in Benavidez's legs. He doesn't care. A grenade lands beside him. He sees it, has maybe 2 seconds to react. His body does something that training didn't teach. Pure reflex born of desperation. He kicks the grenade away. It explodes in midair. Shrapnel tears through his back, through his arms. A piece lodges in his abdomen. He feels each one hit like hammer blows. He doesn't stop moving. Gets O'Connor to the helicopter. Turns back. 3 more wounded to go. Wright is trying to carry one. Benavidez grabs the other. The NVA are close now. 50 meters. 40. He can see their faces. Young men like his, fighting for beliefs as real to them as his are to him. He shoots 3 of them, not because he wants to, because they're in his way. Gets the second man to the helicopter. Turns back. The 3rd casualty is dead. Benavidez can see it in the way the body lies, the absolute stillness, but he checks anyway. Finds a weak pulse. Not dead. Dying, but not dead. The difference matters. He drags him. Every muscle in his body is screaming. His vision is starting to tunnel. Blood loss. Shock. His body is entering the shutdown sequence, trying to save itself by sacrificing extremities. He tells his body no. Not yet. Not until they're all out. The helicopter is still there. Waggy is insane or brave or both. The pilot is holding position in a firestorm, rotors inches above the ground, taking hits that should drop them from the sky. Benavidez gets the 3rd man aboard. Turns for the 4th. A bullet hits him in the head. Not through the skull. That would be simpler. Along the scalp, peeling back skin and hair, exposing bone. Blood sheets down his face, into his eyes. He can't see. He navigates by memory and feel. Finds the last casualty. Sergeant First Class Jesse Knorr. Gut shot. Intestines visible. Still conscious. Still apologizing for being wounded, as if bleeding was somehow his fault. Shut up, Benavidez tells him. You're going home. He drags Nal toward the helicopter. The world is red now. Everything tastes like copper. His hands don't work right anymore. Fingers numb, but he doesn't need fingers. He has will. Gets Knorr to the bird. Counts heads. 8, all accounted for. Go, he shouts to Waggy. You first. I said go. Wright grabs him, pulls him into the helicopter. Benavidez collapses on the floor between the wounded. Someone is screaming. He realizes it's him. The helicopter lifts, takes fire. A bullet punches through the floor, through Benavidez's thigh. His 4th gunshot wound. He stops counting after that. They're airborne, climbing. The jungle recedes. The battlefield becomes small, almost peaceful from up here. You can't see the blood from 500 feet. Benavidez tries to do triage. Tries to check on O'Connor. His arms won't move. He looks down. His uniform is shredded. He can see bone in 3 places. There's a piece of shrapnel sticking out of his stomach like a small knife. He tries to pull it out. Wright stops him. Don't, you'll bleed out. Already bleeding? Not that much. Not yet. The flight back takes 11 minutes. Benavidez spends them breathing. Just breathing. His body has gone into some mode beyond pain. Everything is distant now. Cold. He's going into shock for real this time. O'Connor is beside him. Still alive. Eyes open. Trying to say something. Benavidez leans close. Can barely hear over the rotors. Thank you, O'Connor whispers. Benavidez tries to respond. Can't. His mouth doesn't work anymore. He settles for nodding. The helicopter lands at the forward operating base. Medics swarm. They pull the wounded out one by one. When they get to Benavidez, they hesitate. Is he? Check his pulse. One of the medics puts fingers to Benavidez's throat. Feels nothing. Tries again. Still nothing. He's dead. Put him with the others. They zip him into a body bag. Lay him on the tarmac with the 3 men who didn't make it. The sun is directly overhead now. Inside the black plastic, the temperature climbs to 120 degrees. Roy Benavides lies in darkness, not breathing, not moving, clinically dead by every measure that matters. But his body isn't done fighting yet. Inside the body bag, something is happening. His heart, that stubborn muscle that's kept him alive through mind blasts and bullets and everything the world has thrown at him, decides it's not quite finished. A twitch, nothing more, a tiny spasm of cardiac tissue. Then another. His autonomic nervous system, operating on some primitive level below consciousness, begins the resurrection sequence. Neurons fire. Synapses reconnect. His diaphragm contracts once, drawing in air that tastes like plastic and death. Outside, a doctor is doing paperwork, confirming identities. He's reaching for the body bag zipper when it moves. Just slightly. A bulge from inside. The doctor stares, moves closer. The bag moves again. Jesus Christ, this one's alive. They tear the bag open. Benavides's eyes are open now, staring at nothing. His lips are moving. The doctor leans down to hear. Benavides spits in his face. It's all he can manage. Can't speak, can't move. But he can spit, and spitting proves he's alive, and that's enough. They rush him to surgery. The doctors count 37 separate wounds. 7 serious. Any 3 of which should have killed him. The fact that he's still breathing violates several laws of biology. They work on him for 7 hours. Remove shrapnel. Repair organs. Reconstruct what can be reconstructed. The head surgeon keeps shaking his head, muttering in Spanish about miracles and stubbornness. When they're done, they wheel Benavides to recovery. He's unconscious, intubated, connected to machines that beep and whir and keep track of a life that refuses to end. He wakes 3 days later. The first thing he sees is a nurse. The first thing he says is, "The team. Did they make it?" The nurse doesn't understand Spanish. Find someone who does. The translator, a corporal from Texas, comes by an hour later. "The team," Benavides repeats. "Did they make it?" The corporal is quiet for a moment. 8 survivors. Because of you. How many total? 12 on the team. 4 KIA. 8 came back. Benavides does the math. 2/3 survival rate in a situation that should have been total loss. Not good enough. Not perfect. But better than 0. The pilot? Waggy? He's fine. Crazy bastard wants a medal for you. Don't want a medal. Too late. Everyone's talking about it. They're saying you pulled off the impossible. Wasn't impossible. Just expensive. The corporal doesn't understand. Benavides doesn't explain. How do you tell someone that courage isn't free? That every man he saved cost him something that can't be measured in wounds? That he'll dream about that clearing for the rest of his life? The weight of bodies, the smell of blood, the faces of boys who died before he could reach them? You don't. You just lie there and breathe, and try not to think about the bill that's coming due. 6 months later, Roy Benavides is in a hospital in San Antonio. The wounds have healed, mostly. He can walk again. The limp is worse now, but he's walking. That's what matters. A general visits, brings paperwork, recommendation for the Medal of Honor. "Master Sergeant," the general says, "what you did that day was beyond extraordinary. You saved 8 American lives at the cost of your own near death. That's heroism of the highest order." Benavides looks at the form, his name typed neatly at the top. "Those men would have done the same for me," he says quietly. "But they didn't. You did. Only because I was in position. You weren't even assigned to that mission. Doesn't matter. They needed help." The general studies him. "Why'd you do it, Sergeant?" "Really?" Benavides is quiet for a long time. Thinking about the question, thinking about a morning when the radio went silent and men started dying and nobody else moved. "Because," he finally says, "someone had to." It's not a good answer. It's not even a complete answer, but it's the only one he has. He'll receive the Medal of Honor on February 24th, 1981, 13 years after the battle. President Ronald Reagan will place it around his neck. The ceremony will be formal, dignified, full of words like valor and sacrifice. But Roy Benavidez won't really be there. Part of him will still be in that clearing, counting wounded, doing math that doesn't add up, fighting a war that never quite ends. 37 years later, Roy Benavidez dies in San Antonio, November 29th, 1998. Heart failure. The doctors say his body just wore out. Too much damage, too many wounds, a heart that fought for 63 years and finally couldn't fight anymore. At the funeral, 8 men are honorary pallbearers. Different ages, different ranks. They have nothing in common except one thing. They're alive because a sergeant with a limp and a death wish pulled them out of hell. Brian O'Connor, the kid with the sucking chest wound, is there. He's 51 now, has grandchildren. He stands at attention as the coffin passes, tears streaming down his face, and whispers 2 words. "Thank you." The others echo it. A quiet chorus. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. They're thanking a dead man, a man who never asked for thanks, who never called himself a hero, who, when asked about the most famous 6 hours of his life, would only say, "I did my job, that's all." But it wasn't all. It was everything. It was the difference between 8 men going home and 8 men going into body bags. It was the difference between families receiving fathers and families receiving flags. Mathematics doesn't capture that. Neither do medals. Neither do words. All that's left is memory, a helicopter descending through fire, a sergeant jumping from 15 feet, the impossible weight of bodies, the taste of blood, the certainty that some things are worth dying for, and the stubborn, furious, magnificent refusal to die when men need you to live. That's Roy Benavidez. That's the man who wouldn't die. Roy P. Benavidez served in the U.S. Army for 24 years, retiring as a master sergeant in 1976. His action on May 2, 1968, remains one of the most extraordinary in military history. 37 wounds sustained while saving 8 lives in a 6-hour battle. The Medal of Honor citation details an operation that medical professionals still study as an example of what the human body can endure when driven by will and purpose. He never fully recovered from his injuries, but spent his remaining years speaking to schools and military groups about duty and sacrifice. When asked why he jumped from that helicopter, he would sometimes smile and say, "I saw men in trouble. What else was I supposed to do?" As if there was ever another choice, as if we're all not faced eventually with that same decision, to move toward danger or away from it, to help or to hide, to be the person who runs toward the sound of dying or the person who pretends not to hear it. Roy Benavidez chose, and 8 men lived. That's all. That's everything.